a sense of belonging is extremely important. And when you feel embraced, not just by those students who know your life experience or at least can have a comparable life experience as your own, you have that sense of belonging, the conversation changes and it's a little bit different.
On a personal level, Latinx Heritage Month is significant to me as a first-generation Mexican-American Latina daughter of immigrants and the first in my family to graduate from college. On a collective level, Latinx Heritage Month is important not only to acknowledge the history of this community, but also to celebrate their contributions to this nation.
You know, for me as a Hispanic man, I think it's really important for myself to kind of be an example to other men of color as well in terms of being vulnerable, one, because, you know, as, you know, someone who grew up in kind of a Latinx culture, I rarely remember that machismo culture really permeating throughout my family, and being able to kind of go away from that and also showing others that it's really important to not, you know, to not let that affect you, and, you know, to be able to be vulnerable and ask for help.
I had been homeless when I was a teenager. I know what having food insecurity feels like. I know what having home insecurity feels like, and I know that that struggle that a lot of our students struggle through. Where I lived, being a Latina wasn't very respected. So not only did I have the intersectionality of being of lower socioeconomic means, but then I was also Mexican American or Chicana.
I remember kind of feeling kind of torn between two cultures, the American culture and then the Mexican culture for myself, and also like not really feeling like I belong in one way or another.
So as a Chicana, it's always been so important to me to celebrate my culture as an educator, but then also as a student. It has brought so much value to my experience. And so why do I say that? Because when I'm learning with the lens of my ancestors, of my background, of my family, my grandparents, my parents, my great-grandparents, and their experience here in the United States.
You know, as a college, when I came here, we were less than 15% HSI. And even like, I don't know, when I was vice president, and I think at that point, we were like at 17, and our goal was to get to 25. And we're now at 37, I believe. And for us, it was an awareness that we're in a community that's growing, right? And that we needed to do the work of making sure that we have that representation on our campus. So it's about being inclusive, it's about providing access, but it's also about a college commitment, right? To equity, and it's a college commitment to a mission. And our mission is such that we want to make sure we're representing an inclusive community of practice. So
I think it's great that Moorpark College will be celebrating Latinx Heritage Month. We have a huge population of Latinx students, faculty, classified professionals, and the surrounding community. We have a great opportunity to show and showcase the contributions that our Latinx professionals have contributed throughout the years. And so this is a time for us to sit back, enjoy, and celebrate us.
I am first generation Mexican American from my father's side. My father immigrated here in the early 60s during the Bracero movement, the end of the Bracero movement. I've had the opportunity of experiencing my life between two worlds.
Thinking about how valuable it is to be able to even come to school, right? Historically, we've known that there's been really limited options for people of color, Latinos in particular, but then also just to learn so much, right? It's so, it's meaningful to me. So I chose to become an educator because I wanted to help other people have that same experience as I've had.
You know, growing up and being the first one at the university in my family, I didn't know how to do anything. I kind of just, whatever they told me to do, I just kind of did. I didn't understand my financial aid package. I didn't understand what courses I needed to take. And not only that, but a lot of times even when you spoke to specific people, they would just be like, oh, they would talk to you as if you already knew what was going on. I had no idea. And so I had to kind of figure out, but not just figuring out for myself, but also for my siblings as well, that when they needed help, they would come to me. And so making sure that I did everything. So not only was it pressure on myself to make sure I completed my goals, but it was also pressure for me to make sure that my siblings also accomplished their goals. So there was, like I said, it was really complicated in terms of how to navigate the university system, the college system, but also doing that at the same time as taking care of your family, basically.
I never learned about the history of my ancestors, and it wasn't until I got to college that I first took that Chicano studies class, and it opened up my mind to so much that I didn't know about my people. We're here to stay, and we're not gonna go anywhere, and it's only to our collective as a society's benefit to learn from each other and acknowledge everybody's contributions to a nation, which the fabric of our nation is made up of multiple identities and ethnicities.
I actually went to school in Mexico, and first grade, came back, obviously I came back fluent, but when I came back, people would speak to me in English, but I would answer them back in Spanish. And so they would look at me like I was crazy because, of course, I'm speaking a different language to them, but it didn't dawn on me. I thought that I was just responding to them, and so I had a lot of negative feedback because I was speaking Spanish back to them.
Mexican Americans and Latinos have been in this country for many, many years, hundreds of years, if anything. There are over 20 countries that include not only Mexico, but also South America, Central America, and the Caribbean.
We know that we have almost half of our student population identify as Latinx. We know that. We know the contributions that we have made as a people to this country. And we know how important it is to acknowledge that. But we also need to acknowledge the human part of it, the understanding of each other, by building community. And the only way to do that is to be able to understand where you came from and what your ideas are, and to share those with others, so you're no longer a mystery.
So an HSI is a designation from for the federal government, which means Hispanic Serving Institution, and that designation identifies that the institution of the college has more than 25% Hispanic or Latinx students in its enrollment or in its service.
In California alone, there are about 18% of Latinx folks, and locally in our communities here at Moorpark College, our students self-identify at a rate of 35% Latinx.
We'll keep growing, and that's what's so encouraging about our work. So that you see that the grants that we apply for in STEM, the grants that we apply, for example, our AIMS grant, it supports their pursuing careers in STEM, and they have a presence, a cohort, and that cohort is so important because you then have a focus on the community learning together, bringing their cultural experience to the engagement, and the college acknowledging that is important for students to succeed.
It's meaningful to me that we share in the classroom, that we share on campus. So these 30 days, I want to celebrate beyond the 30 days. That's great that we have a month, but let's keep celebrating all year long. And let's celebrate all of our cultures, not just mine, but yours. Teach me and let me teach you.
It's time to not only amplify, but also elevate Latino history and Latino culture, not only during these 30 days, but also year-round.
I really did just want to be the kind of counselor that I really wanted when I was going to university, and be able to provide that service as well as those that path to success for students.
I am a proud mother of 3 children and 8 grandchildren. I am now a dean at a wonderful, wonderful institution that really, really believes in students first. I'm extremely proud to be here and humbled to be of service to so many students that are in need. And that's where I feel my calling is at.
So these 30 days are the start, but we hope this inspires and ignites a new opportunity for you to learn more about this culture and others.
The Cultural Heritage Months across board give us an opportunity to learn about one another. It gives me an opportunity to learn about other cultures and better provide support, and in some cases provide services, and often just acknowledge, right, what the cultures have added to who we are and what our culture is and what our community is.
We are excited to celebrate the Latinx Heritage Month here at Moorpark College.
So hay que celebrar este tiempo juntos, orgullosamente, y celebrar nuestra cultura. Gracias.
Latinx Heritage Month is also very important to, make sure that we're all visible to our students. Not only that, but as a counselor, I also really do value those conversations I do have with students. So for me, I really want to explore more of my culture through that. And I think having those opportunities is really important, not just to myself, but to other students maybe in the same situation.
Vamos a celebrar juntos en el espíritu de celebración y recuerden que sí se puede, hay que seguir luchando y puro para adelante. Gracias.
We all have the same common human experience. At the very end, it's all about compassion, being empathic to each other, building community, and keeping in mind our philosophy of our mission of students first.